Kiss My Grits for 10 agree with Midnight's Edge regarding Disney and Netflix. If Netflix will pay $500 million just for Seinfeld, imagine how much they would pay for exclusive access to ESPN Plus Live and on-demand sports and the Disney Vault for 10 years. Derp. That $15 billion in the hole figure for direct-to-consumer would be a $15 billion cash in the pocket. It's literally, we're talking about a $20 to $30 billion swing in revenue for the Walt Disney Company over the last 5 years if they had done what we were talking about and what Grits is saying right here.
The only problem is now Disney's in a spot where Netflix knows they can hold them down. So there's no incentive to Netflix to help Disney out by accepting anything anymore. But Disney had leverage 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, there's no real wars. I mean, nobody is giving up one streamer for another. I realize people are picking and choosing, but that's why eventually everything is still going to wind up on Netflix, because Netflix knows we are the streamer that you get rid of last for the vast majority of people out there. The overwhelming majority. Netflix is the most inelastic it's the most elastic, streamer out there. They can basically raise prices, change things around. Netflix is the one that people are not going to probably get rid of.
I'm going to counter you, Valiant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say Netflix is number 2, and I think you'll agree with me when I say the number 1 for a reason that is separate from streaming. You already know it. Amazon Prime Video.
Amazon Prime.
Yeah. They're impervious.
And I don't even count that, honestly, because I think
I don't either, but it is what it is.
Yeah, everybody pays the $150 a year or whatever it is for the shipping. Everybody gets 2-day free shipping. That's why you're buying it. If Amazon Prime Video service was broken out and you had to subscribe to it as a totally separate service, I'm telling their numbers would be a lot fewer. They've got some good stuff on there. Reacher is excellent. Okay? But Apple knows this too. They have Apple TV Plus. They don't have many subscribers on there, but they have some very good Masters of the Air. I'll brag about it again. Everybody needs to watch that on Apple TV Plus. I'm 2 episodes behind. I got to try to catch up. I might do some of that this evening after the show. Steven Spielberg, Tom Hanks, another World War II, drama. So good. Austin Butler, the guy who played Elvis in the movie recently, he stars in it. Such a good show. It's such a good show. But yeah, I mean, look, Amazon, take them off the table for a second, but Netflix, that's not going anywhere for anybody. And that's why even Warner Brothers and David Zaslav figured out, you know what? I know it's on Max, and I know we want to build Max and all this kind of stuff. By the way, they're hitting profitability now. They beat Disney to it. Let's just license it to Netflix still, because we're still gonna get money that we can't. We will never get this revenue keeping all of this stuff exclusively on Max. We have got to license some of this content out and just get a check from Netflix. Even if it's not exclusive to Netflix, there's a whole audience on Netflix that will never see this otherwise on Max. So why not do it? That's a Disney.
We're also in a very interesting stage here because, as you know, Valiant, we've talked about this before. In any given industry, after it leaves its first stages, when it's in that full-on growth and people are rushing to get in, it consolidates down to just 4 or 5 different offerings. And folks can think about this in the video game industry. You think about back in the days of the early 80s, how many different video game companies there were. Today, when it comes to platforms, there's basically 3. There's Xbox, there's PlayStation, there's Nintendo. In streaming now, the reason this is so fascinating is because in streaming, we've already consolidated. And now we're looking at a situation where, who are the big 3? Well, the big 3, number 1 is YouTube. Number 2 is Netflix. Number 3 is Amazon Prime Video. And way, way, way back in 4th place, not even in the same category as Disney Plus. And that may mean that Disney missed the opportunity
in terms
completely, and there's no fixing it.
Yeah. Not in terms of subscribers, folks. We're talking about in terms of actual consumption.
Yes, and that's all that matters in the advertising revenue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How many hours were consumed by subscribers? And you're right. Take YouTube off the table for a second, because it's not a paid service, right? It's not a streamer in the traditional sense, but just from like professional Hollywood created content. Yeah, you've got Netflix, you've got Amazon, and you've got well, that's
Disney
that's
Plus,
it.
but Disney
Disney's
Plus is way
far
down the
ahead.
list, and
Yeah.
that may mean they've missed it because you don't have forever to get into one of these new paradigms. You've got to hit the window when it's open, and they missed the boat.
Yeah. Yep, they did. And I think that's part of the problem. And I don't know if they'll ever get it back. Disney is going to have to, like, I'm telling you right now, the reason that every piece of common business sense says that Disney should have made this deal to go back to Netflix several years ago. You can still have Disney Plus. You can still make your stupid Marvel and Star Wars shows that nobody cares about, not for the budget you're spending on them. And that's fine. That's just fine. But you've got to actually get some revenue from some of these things at some point. There's no reason that Mandalorian Season 1 should still be locked behind Disney Plus only. Why the hell hasn't that been licensed out to Netflix? Seriously. Hell, license Mando Season 2 out to Netflix. Who cares? I mean, if you got $50 million for it, that's $50 million more than you're getting right now, leaving it just die on the vine over there. I think, look, the same goes for Netflix. There's no reason for Netflix to keep Stranger Things Season 1 permanently locked up on Netflix. Why not license that out? License that out to a television station. Call up Warner Brothers. Hey,
Absolutely.
You guys send us some of your stuff. Would you guys want to take the first 2 seasons or the first 3 seasons of Stranger Things and put it on TNT or TBS? Well, no, not TBS. TNT. And so are some of the other stations that is under the Warner Brothers linear Why not? Why not?
I think it's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
And it would beat almost anything out there if you just loop those back and forth. But for folks out there who are wondering, why is Disney spending all this money trying to buy Hulu, the rest of it, which, by the way, that's not done yet. And, why are they turning ESPN into 1/3 of their entire company? And the answer to that is simple. They have to find an artificial way to get their subscriber numbers up so that they can be in the same talking space as Netflix and Amazon. Because if they don't bundle all those subscribers together, then they are outclassed tremendously because the Disney Plus effort did not come to the fruition that they needed in the initial push. That's what all this is about, is trying to stay in the same conversational category as the big ones. They're not a big one.
They need Disney Plus to show profit within the next 3 to 6 months. They're
going to do it too, because they're going to cut everything that it takes. Yep. They're going to move Moana. They've already moved that out of being a TV show, a streaming show, into being a movie. Did the same thing with Lilo and Stitch. They're going to do whatever it takes, move any dollar or dime they can to show that they made a penny at the end of this year.
Well, look at what they did, and I was a little surprised by this because I said, okay, they're talking about The Acolyte coming out over the summer. At the time, we didn't have a date announced, right? But now we do. While I'm thinking about this.
By the way, Valiant, now you know why it's a sizzle reel. It's coming out in a warm month.
But I'm chink.
Like a pound of bacon at a Waffle House, baby.
Dude, that was terrible. Oh,
I know.
God.
I know.
So I can't. I'll pull up the Wikipedia page. This is listed to come out June 5th right now. Okay, June 5th. Now, if I'm not mistaken, remember I said earlier a few weeks ago, I said, look, here's the thing with The Acolyte, is if they're on the edge with Disney Plus, they'll push The Acolyte, for example, back to after October 1st. Well, they've announced it for June 5th, so that seems pushing it back 3 or 4 months or whatever. That seems a little unlikely. But then I realized, wait a minute, wasn't Skeleton Crew supposed to come out before this?
Yes, it was.
Where is Skeleton Crew?
Skeleton Crew never made an appearance.
They pushed it back. That's the
one.
one.
So they pushed that back. I'll bet you it had the bigger budget.
Yep.
That's why I'll guarantee you it had the bigger budget. Therefore, it gets pushed. This one gets kept because they can't move every single one of them off.
We were supposed to have Skeleton Crew and then Acolyte. At least that's what was said to everybody a couple of 2 years ago, whenever all the talk started about this. But now it seems like Skeleton Crew was pushed back. So they're going to get this out because apparently this was either much more ready to go or maybe wasn't expensive. But look, even if both of these shows, even if Skeleton Crew and The Acolyte both cost $250,000, which probably was what they did, if they could push just one of them back until after the end of this fiscal year to help make sure that, well, think about this. What else is coming out from Marvel between now and October 1st on Disney Plus? I don't think there's a whole lot. What's on the radar for this year? Were they not all pushed out?
You're talking about Marvel
Disney Plus TV shows.
I mean, I'm trying to think right now.
Yeah,
there is one. Isn't there? There's still one coming out.
One, as opposed to what, 5 or 6 like we've been getting the last 2 years?
Does Agatha land inside the window?
I think Agatha does. Agatha Harkness. But who the hell is going to watch that?
Oh, listen, of all the heroes in the roster of Marvel, you don't remember the throngs of people at conventions chanting and demanding Agatha?
I must have missed that.
Yeah, it's because they didn't know who she was.
Yeah, that's probably pretty. The Darkhold Diaries, that's it. TV series 2024. Okay. So this is slated for, look, late 2024. So we're talking fourth quarter. We're talking about
Right, they might push it. Well, okay, so here's where that gets tricky. I don't think they can push it past Halloween. It's got to come out in October. It's the only reason. It's the only marketing chance you got with this thing.
If it comes out October 1st, that's all Disney needs, because then that means...
That's a good point. They can run it the whole month. Yep.
They can run it the whole month, and it's not... you don't actually start taking the expense of the show, the $200 million or whatever they spent on this thing. You don't actually start taking it until after the end of the fiscal year, which is the deadline. September 30th is the deadline. They have to show a profit on Disney Plus. So they couldn't go full, they couldn't just shut everything down, I guess, obviously. But, I mean, what do we have with Star Wars between now and the end of the fiscal year for Disney? Acolyte. Skeleton Crew, what happened to that? That was supposed to come out before the Acolyte. Now it's not. They pushed that back. They saved $250 million against the cost of the write-downs, or the expenses they have to start amortizing, which, of course, they don't take the whole $250 million right away, but they probably take, as soon as it comes out, they're probably taking 40, 50% of it. Mike, Mexican Iron Man, would be a better person to ask. Probably Mike, well, he's in a movie theater, but he can probably pull up the amortization table for intellectual property TV shows like this. But I'm imagining you're going to take it probably close to half of it when the show comes out, because that's when most of the usable life of that show is going to happen, when it's brand spanking new. And then maybe you gradually depreciate it over the next 10 years to zero. It might be more than 50%. I don't know. But those are expenses that have to come off. And if Disney Plus is struggling to make profitability, again, this is why we're seeing more of these shows pushed back. So we get the Acolyte, but not Skeleton Crew. Skeleton Crew will come out maybe later sometime. I mean, it's going to come out. It's shot, right? They finished that one.
Yeah, it's in post.
Okay, so then there we go. But we haven't heard any news on it from what I understand. So I don't know. Like I said, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot that's going to be coming out before the end of the fiscal year. And
think about it this way, Val. This is what's amazing.
The strikes basically bailed Disney Plus out.
Well, think about it this way. So we should have almost no content, right, due to the strikes. Mm-hmm. But by the latter part of the year, you should start seeing that cadence increase.
Yeah.
We're not seeing that at all. And so I would suggest that Disney is actually cutting down on productions to at least near strike levels again this year, to try to make sure that they make a profit. But the problem there is that you can only run that so long before you actually don't grow at all. You actually cede ground to competitors. So there has to be some degree of churn. And it seems to me that the churn has just stopped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see it here. This is the latest information that we have. Is Skeleton Crew is scheduled to be released on Disney Plus in 2024.
But no release date whatsoever.
It's damn sure not coming out before Acolyte now.
So they can throw it out in December and they get out of the time frame, right?
They can throw it in that November-December slot that used to be occupied by Mando.
And why would they not? Because now we're hearing that Mando season 4 likely is not happening. Again, going back to that, cutting everything they can to show a profit.
Yep. So they pushed this one out. They reversed the release schedules and they've cut stuff back. And this is all.
And I'll tell you, if we don't get anything in terms of Mandalorian season 4 going into production within about the next week, it's time to start saying that it's just about confirmed that there is no season 4.
Yeah, it seems like it, doesn't it?
Time is running out.
It is. Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.